Hi everyone. We're really excited today to be doing a few different activities. We're going to kick off with some writing resolutions, some New Year's writing resolutions, hopefully to get people enthused and maybe give people a little bit of inspiration. As we know, as independent authors, it can be difficult sometimes just to pick up the pen or get to the keyboard and actually get something down. So hopefully, by having some resolutions and having some plan ahead, we can get rid of some of those difficulties. I'm really pleased today to be joined by Elaine James, Paul Bahu. Is that correct?
Bahu,
And
but close enough, buddy.
Matt McCall as well. So we'll start with Elaine. Um, so did you have any specific writing resolutions for this year? And if so, how did they go?
Yes, I did, and yes, they went really well for me. After the short story in February, um, that was my first foray into writing, and I decided to write a novel and a novella and a couple more short stories that I could, fit in around the edges. And the short stories are done, and the novel and the novella are both in first draft. So that's okay. I think I'll have the novella done second draft by the end of the month. Some focus would be helpful. So
So Paul, what about you? What did you have any writing resolutions this year?
My resolution is just to be able to write when I can. I think I have the opposite experience of Elaine right now. I'm not retired, and I got two tiny kids, so I'm pretty much from 6 a.m. till I want to say about 8 p.m. I'm either doing stuff for the kids or I'm working. And what I've been able to do is just make sure that I carve out that niche of time after the kids are down and until I crash and burn myself. So I've been making that space for myself almost nightly, and it's less about output and more about just getting myself the opportunity to write. Definitely in a busier season of my life than other times.
I think that's pretty relatable, to be honest. Yeah. So Matt, what about you? Did you have any writing resolutions this year?
My writing resolution was to actually do some writing, and um, I have done some, but I haven't done enough. Not as much as I intended to do at the beginning of the year. I think probably I have only written a couple of 100,000 words in this year. The problem is, I've had a lot of things going on in this year, and next year looks even busier. So it's finding that time. It's actually coming down and sitting down with the discipline of writing. Winter is better for me because I am liable to do to be more at home of an evening and not farting about in the garden or walking dogs or sitting out until the wee small hours talking nonsense in with friends. But I suppose I haven't completed anything. I published one short story which has gone into an anthology, which which is a commercial is a commercial anthology, and that's was nice, and it was a bit of a bit of a personal achievement. But I haven't been doing what I want enough work. I have been procrastinating on a large scale. So really, I must hold my hands up and say I haven't done anything really.
I don't
Well, I've
know,
done
a
loads
couple
and
hundred
loads and
thousand
loads of
words.
things this year, but I haven't done much in the way of writing.
A couple 100,000 words sounds decent to me.
Yeah, that's more than I've done, buddy.
Well, the problem is, have you looked at the size of the books I write? Yeah, I, I write large, very detailed novels, and the problem is that I do like Paul was saying, I can be very much a stream of consciousness kind of person. It will come and I will just write it. and then I edit it down and edit it down. But I'm not somebody that will say, oh, I'll write the whole thing and then go back and edit it. I will write a section and then I will go back and hone that down and plane that down and polish that until I'm happy with it before I move on to the next bit. This is why my fantasy novel, Anis, that's out on the listing, took me something like 25 years to write. Because of that.
What's the word count on it?
To keep going back and getting that bit exactly right before I can move on to the next bit. So I procrastinate and I fart about and I potch about, and as I said, there's been 1,000,001 things have happened this year in my life, and I just haven't had the time I would like to do the writing that I would like.
So moving from writing resolutions for this year, what would Elaine? What would you say your biggest writing achievement has been this year?
The novel, being down in first draft, and I want to finish that next year till it's clean.
Yeah, I think being able to finish. I mean, so many people, they start novels but they don't finish them, and so just finishing a novel in itself is a fantastic achievement. So well done.
It was the easiest one to finish. So I mean, it was for me. It was just sitting there and spewing, my brain onto it. That was the easiest one. I didn't have trouble there. Others, I have to think about it a bit more. But.
So, Paul, how about you? What was your biggest writing achievement?
I would say just kind of transitioning myself into the world of self-published writers. I came from a music background, touring, put records out, all that fun stuff, and then I got really into writing after the birth of my daughter. It's hard to maintain a rock and roll schedule when you got bedtime at 7:30. You got to be there every night to do it. So I found a new vein for my creative needs, and so just starting to get in podcasts. I got a publicist. I got a website that's almost completed and up. Just really kind of the mechanics of being a writer, I would say, has been something that I'm pretty proud of this year. I'm still learning a lot about it. There's a lot of a lot that's not analogous to being in a band, and some things are backwards. So still kind of learning and figuring that out, but never losing sight of the fact that the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I enjoy writing. So still making sure that that's the priority above marketing my book that I put out. Sunset Distortion, The Pyramid at the End of the World, available on Amazon now.
Well done.
Keeping the writing and the act of writing front and center. I would say, managing that, I'm pretty proud of it. And all the writing I've been doing, still squeezing it in, finding the ways, even when you're exhausted and bleary-eyed, and your kid's woken up for the third time that night, it'd be 2 a.m. and sometimes like, I think I'm going to write for an hour. Just kind of making that happen and making the space, and yeah, hopefully I can put my second book out next year. Let's see if I get there.
So Matt, I know you said that you struggled to find time to maybe do what you wanted to with writing this year, but have you had any achievements that you were particularly happy with within your writing?
Well, I was invited to submit some short stories to an anthology series called Harvey Duckman Presents, and they picked up one of them and have published that this year. So it's a short story within that, which that was a boost. I mean, the story's actually been kicking around for quite a while in almost finished form. I mean, it was interesting actually working with them and their editors as to what they wanted. We didn't need to do a great deal of editing on it, just a couple of tiny little bits. It's a quote that they wanted me to change, but That was nice. It was a bit of an ego boost, I must admit, to it for them to ask me to submit something and then pick up something like that, which that was nice. But I do feel a bit of a I have not done what I wanted to do as much as I would have liked to have done.
Okay, so let's move on to the actual New Year's writing resolutions for the year coming ahead. So Elaine, what would yours be?
I have 3 novels sketched out in my brain. Their skeletons hang there, and I can't wait to get them on paper or in the computer. As soon as the skeletons go down, then I can put the meat on the bones, and that's what I really like to do. That's what's fun for me. And so those 3 will hit the computer this year, or this coming year. How well they get into a final draft is, of course, another story. Some characters are more difficult than others are, and if I can't stop them, then I kill them. So.
Harsh, lady, harsh.
Well, books are kind of like kids, and whether they're
sometimes you want to murder them.
Sometimes they need to go out the door. Anyway, so that's it for me. I have the blog, but I might wind down the blog this year because it's not holding a fascination for me like it was the past year, and it was a good practice thing and a good focus thing, but it's not as interesting to me now. So I might wind that down and just focus on other things.
So what about you, Paul? What would your resolution be for the year ahead?
I want to put out my second book. So I had written the first one I wrote, Sunset Distortion, Pyramid at the End of the World, available on Amazon. I wrote the sequel after that.
You just keep plugging it, boy. You just keep plugging
Keep doing it. Keep going.
Over and over and over and over.
Yeah, you go for it. Boy.
Yeah. Get it in the brain. It makes a great Christmas gift. I'm just saying. So I wrote the sequel, and it's going to be a 5-part series. And then but before I started to do the year-long redrafting and the editing process, I was like, I don't want my second book to be the sequel to the first one. I need another new entry point for readers. So I kind of took that one, I put it on the shelf, and I had been writing some short fiction. I said, I need to do a collection. And so I'm kind of at a point now where I have a book's worth of stories that I'm going to be putting together. The tentative title is The Electric Graveyard. And it's some science fiction, some horror, kind of, living in that neighborhood. And I would say the marquee story of the collection, I'm in the third edit through it now. It's about a zombie apocalypse that breaks out at a music festival. And there's a husband and wife who are, being terrorized by these creatures. And amidst all of their attempts at survival, they can't agree if they're zombies or vampires. And just a lot of self-conscious lore digging of, well, no, that's not kind of a vampire act. No, that's more zombies right there. And as they're being chased and people are being devoured and everything, it's you English people say, a little cheeky, right? So I've been really enjoying it. I'm excited to try to start getting some of this stuff out in the world. I got my first short story published in an online blog, and that one's going to be in there too. And so I'm really going to try to get that collection out by the end of next year.
Do you weave some humor into your writing then, Paul, in your novels?
All of it. I mean, this is who I am when you're talking to me. That's who I am when you're reading me.
Right.
So
right. I
everything
kind of got that sort of essence of Paul. Yeah.
It's all the essence of Paul you could ever need is in my writing. So lots of humor, lots of jokes, lots of nonsense and non sequiturs, and it's definitely not hyper serious writing, and
perfection.
I hope that resonates with the people who choose to pick up the book.
So what about you, Matt? What's your New Year's resolution, writing resolution?
My New Year's resolution is to finish book 3 of The Dandelion Farmer, because, well, not finish it, well, get most of it written. Okay, I kind of got sidetracked. The end of the second book, it's an ensemble cast, and one group of adventurers have got separated from the other. So at the moment, I'm writing what's happened to them, and that is just gone off on some wild Edgar Rice Burroughs type adventure. The problem is that has meant that I haven't been writing the stuff for the others, and that means I've got to pull my head, get that first bit finished, and pull my head around it and get something down on paper, because there's other things nagging at me. I would like to get back to I'd like to finish the second book of Anis, the Goddess of Sorrows. I'd like to get back to actually writing that, although I've got to be in the right frame of mind. It's a completely different beast from the Dandelion Farmer, but also there is a character that's banging. Well, you know how characters can take life of their own.
Yeah.
Well, I have one banging on the door, and he wants his stories told, and he's very insistent about it. And I know the character, I know the stories, I know I've got some brilliant, I hope, brilliant ideas for this, but I haven't even managed to put much of a pen to paper, metaphorically, to get him down. And that is beginning to demand my attention. So I'd like to maybe get the third Dandelion Farmer almost finished to the point where I can be editing it and actually get on and write some short stories featuring this other character.
Well, thanks so much for that, everyone, for going through your resolutions. I think they're quite varied, and I think hopefully people will get something from that. Maybe get a bit of inspiration for writing themselves. Because it's been great just to be able to go over what people write resolutions and hopefully again give people some inspiration for next year going ahead, giving them that energy just to sit down and get writing again. So.
Well, as always, Michael, thanks for putting these things on and for all the work you do. I appreciate it a lot.
It's always great to have, as I was saying earlier, it's always great to have so many people just joining in and getting in part of that community, because I think in the end that's what the indie authors need. It's a community and bringing people together and helping each other out. So that's all.
Absolutely.
So,
all right.
Adios.
Thanks so much.
Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas, everybody.
Feliz Navidad.